What if everything you know about NASA is just the tip of a gigantic iceberg? If I told you that secret missions have already been sent into space and that leaked documents reveal secrets that have never been released to the public? We're talking about top-secret projects, confidential files, and discoveries that could change everything we believe about space exploration. The truth is out there, but are we ready for it? Now, imagine that some of the images NASA has released over the years may not be exactly what they seem. Scientists, former employees, and astronauts have hinted that there is much more going on behind the scenes than we have ever been told. Probes that disappeared without explanation, signals captured on Mars that were ignored, and missions mysteriously canceled shortly before being launched. What are they trying to hide? The leaked documents you will see today have been classified as confidential, some even stamped as restricted to national security. And believe me, they show information that can completely challenge our understanding of space. What would happen if we discovered we were not alone? That there is something out there, something that NASA and the world's governments have decided not to reveal. After all, why do some missions simply disappear from records? Did you know that there are NASA files that have been censored before? They are released to the public. Why hide details about space exploration? Is NASA protecting humanity from something, or just hiding information for its own interests? And it doesn't stop there. Reports from top-secret missions mention the discovery of unexplained structures on the Moon and Mars. Anomalies captured by telescopes that were immediately dismissed as technical failures, and even reports of astronauts who, upon returning from space, were never the same again. What did they see? What was discovered in the depths of the universe and never reached the public? Get ready, because what we're about to reveal today could be one of the biggest conspiracies of the modern era. Don't leave this video, because you won't believe what you're about to discover. If this information really is true, what else could be being hidden from us? And, most importantly, why? Who decides what humanity can and cannot know about space? Is there something so grand, so disturbing, that NASA fears the consequences of a full disclosure? Now think, if there are leaked documents and reports from former scientists confirming these secret missions, how many other operations could be happening right now without anyone knowing? The truth is that information control has always been a powerful weapon. Knowing what's behind these missions is not just a matter of curiosity, but of understanding our own place in the universe. Are we really alone? Or have we already discovered something that would change our existence forever? These answers may be hidden inside classified NASA files, locked in safes and protected by governments that determine what we can know. But here, on this channel, we investigate, question, and seek the answers they don't want you to know. And the only way to ensure that more people have access to this knowledge is with your help. Then, if you want to continue uncovering the hidden secrets of space, leave a like and subscribe to the channel now. This not only strengthens this community of truth seekers, but also prevents this type of information from continuing to be buried in oblivion. And don't think we stop there, because what comes next is even more shocking. We're about to dive into the details of NASA's most obscure missions, the ones that were erased from official records. And one of these missions could reveal something that challenges everything we know about space. Are you ready? So hold on tight, because what comes now could forever change the way you view space exploration. Space exploration has always been shrouded in a mix of fascination and secrets. Since the first missions, man has always looked to the sky for answers, and it was NASA who took the lead in this journey. But what we officially know about space missions may only be a fraction of the real story. Major operations such as the Apollo missions, which took man to the Moon, the Voyager probe, which still travels through deep space today, and exploratory robots on Mars, such as Curiosity and Perseverance, are widely publicized to the public. However, if we look more closely, we'll realize that there is unexplained gaps in missions that never received so much attention. NASA has a budget that runs into billions of dollars annually, an astronomical amount that supports not only exploratory missions, but also confidential research, which is often never mentioned officially. And if we're talking about a government-funded agency whose duty should be to maintain transparency about its operations, why are there records that disappear, missions that are abruptly canceled, and documents that are classified as ultra-secretos? If we look at the past, we realize that space exploration has a clear pattern. There are always more questions than answers. During the space race in the 1960s, the United States and the Soviet Union competed fiercely to prove who would dominate space first. The whole world followed every step of Apollo 11. When Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin set foot on the moon in 1969. But did you know there was other lunar missions that simply disappeared from the records? Apollo 18, for example, was officially canceled, but reports indicate that it may have been carried out in secret to investigate something unusual in the lunar soil. What if the reason these missions are abandoned has nothing to do with a lack of interest, but rather something that NASA found and never revealed? And it doesn't stop there. In the 1970s, the Viking probe arrived on Mars with the aim of carrying out biological tests to detect signs of life. The curious thing is that the results were contradictory. Some tests indicated the presence of biological activities, but NASA dismissed the results, saying they were inconclusive. But were they really? Or was there something there that couldn't be shared with the public? This was not the only time that scientific data appeared to be suppressed. The most recent missions, such as the exploratory robots on Mars, show us incredible images of the red planet, but they all go through filters and edits before being released to the public. Several photos released by NASA show strange cropping, distortions, and, in some cases, objects that shouldn't be there. What is NASA hiding from us? Why do some images appear blurry or faded in specific areas? And we cannot forget the ISS, the International Space Station, where astronauts live for months in microgravity carrying out scientific experiments. Did you know that over the years, several live broadcasts from the ISS have been mysteriously cut at the exact moment? Strange objects appeared in the background. Many of these transmissions were being followed by enthusiasts and researchers who noticed anomalies in space. And NASA's official response? Always the same: technical problems. But how coincidental is this? And if these are the missions we are aware of, imagine how many others were conducted secretly without us even knowing of their existence. What could be so closely guarded that it was never mentioned publicly? One piece of information that few know is that NASA has an internal division that handles highly classified matters, including possible discoveries that could cause global panic. This is not a conspiracy theory. It is a fact. There are reports from former employees and leaked documents that show that certain projects simply disappear from public archives. And this leads us to the inevitable question: what discoveries were made and never revealed? Imagine the impact it would have if we discovered that we already found concrete evidence of extraterrestrial life, artifacts on other planets, or even structures that indicate that we were not the first to explore space. This could change everything we know about our own existence, about the history of humanity, and about the true purpose of space exploration. What if this truth is so monumental that governments and space agencies have decided to hide it to avoid social collapse? Now, stop for a moment and think. Why are billions of dollars invested annually in secret space programs? Who benefits from keeping this information hidden? Why do some missions fail so conveniently, as if to ensure nothing is discovered? Something doesn't fit with this official narrative we're being told, and it's up to us to look for answers. And before we continue with even more bombshell revelations about NASA's secret missions, I want to know your opinion. Do you believe that NASA really hides discoveries from the public? Or do you think all of this is just baseless theories? Comment below. Is NASA hiding something? Yes or no? Your comment is essential to increase the visibility of this content and make more people aware of this reality. But hold on tight, because what comes next is even more intriguing. Let's explore the missions that simply disappeared from official records and evidence that there is much more going on in space than we have ever been told. Get ready, because what you're about to see could completely change your view of NASA and space exploration. Follow me, because the truth may be closer than we imagine. The truth is that behind the space missions disclosed to the public, there are others that simply disappeared from official records. Without explanation, without any mention, as if they had never happened. But what if I told you that there are leaked documents and testimonies from former employees that indicate that these missions existed, were carried out, and may have discovered something that could never become known to humanity? What could be so impactful as to be erased from history? If we go back in time, we will find cases of NASA missions that were announced and then suddenly canceled without convincing justification. One of the most intriguing examples is that of Apollo 20, a supposed mission that, officially, never happened. NASA says the Apollo program ended with Apollo 17 in 1972 due to budget cuts. But what if I told you that there is evidence that Apollo 20 was, in fact, a top-secret mission, sent to explore an enigmatic object located on the far side of the moon? In 2007, a mysterious video appeared on the internet, supposedly recorded by an Apollo 20 astronaut. In the images, it is possible to see a huge structure resembling an ancient spaceship, partially buried in the lunar surface. Would this explain why NASA never returned to the moon? What was found there was so scary or so revolutionary, who just decided to sweep everything under the rug? And more. How did a video like this appear after so many years when the mission was never officially recognized? Another strange case is that of Phobos 2 mission, launched by the former Soviet Union in partnership with the USA in 1988. The probe's objective was to explore Mars' moon. Phobos, one of the most enigmatic celestial bodies in our solar system. But just before completing its mission, the probe stopped sending signals and disappeared without a trace. Interestingly, just before her last broadcast, she sent a disturbing image, a gigantic cylindrical-shaped shadow which appeared to be moving towards the probe. Experts analyzed the image and they couldn't explain it, raising speculation about the possibility that Phobos II found something it shouldn't have. And it doesn't stop there. There is also the intriguing story of Clementine mission, launched in 1994 to map the moon. Few people know. But this mission was financed in partnership with the U.S. Department of Defense, which already raises suspicions. During the mission, the probe captured unexplained anomalies on the lunar surface, including images of structures that appeared to be artificial. Shortly afterwards, the program was interrupted and some of the images simply disappeared from NASA's public archives. The mission was purely scientific. Why were some of the discoveries classified as confidential? Now, if we look at Mars, we find an even stranger pattern. NASA has sent several probes to explore the red planet, but some of them they just stopped working in an inexplicable way. A curious example is the Mars Observer, a probe that mysteriously disappeared in 1993, shortly before beginning its main mission. The strangest thing: no wreckage was found, no signs of mechanical failure were reported. It was as if something or someone had turned off the probe. Did NASA discover something on Mars and decide to stop the mission before unwanted information was revealed? And speaking of Mars, let's talk about something even more curious: the strange images captured by the Curiosity rover. There have been Numerous photographs released by NASA showing anomalies in the Martian soil, from objects that look like fossilized bones to formations that resemble artificial constructions. But whenever something like this appears, NASA is quick to deny it, saying it's just optical illusions or natural terrain effects. But what if they aren't? What if what we're seeing is proof that Mars once hosted a civilization in the past? If this hypothesis is real, it would completely change the way we understand human history. The big question is, if these missions were indeed erased from history, what did they discover that could never be revealed? NASA and other space agencies around the world claim that their job is to disseminate scientific knowledge to humanity. But what we see in practice are censored reports, edited images, and missions that disappear without explanation. Why this? Level of secrecy. If there is nothing to hide, why not disclose all information openly and transparently? And for those who think this is all just a conspiracy theory, it's worth remembering that several former NASA employees have publicly stated that there are secret missions that are never disclosed to the public. An example of this is the case of former NASA consultant Richard Hoagland, who claims to have evidence that artificial structures have been found on the Moon and Mars, but that this information was deliberately hidden. Another example is Ken Johnston, a former space agency employee, who worked directly with archives from the Apollo missions and claimed that some of the original photos were altered before being presented to the public. And if all of this isn't enough to leave you scratching your head, just look at the countless reports from astronauts who, upon returning from space, reported inexplicable experiences, but who were silenced. Buzz Aldrin, the second man to set foot on the Moon, has already claimed to have seen something strange during the Apollo 11 mission. But whenever he tried to talk about the subject, the story was quickly hushed up. Other astronauts, such as Gordon Cooper and Edgar Mitchell, have also spoken openly about anomalous events in space, suggesting that there was much more going on out there than we were ever told. Now I want to know your opinion. Do you think these secret missions really existed? Or do you believe that all this is just a big exaggeration? Comment here below. NASA is hiding something, if you believe there are secrets being kept from the public. If you think this is all just speculation, comment there are no secret missions, and hold on tight, because what comes next will leave you even more intrigued. Let's analyze the leaked documents, testimonies from informants, and evidence that confirm that NASA may be hiding a truth much greater than we imagine. Stay with me, because what comes now could be the key to an unprecedented revelation. Evidence of secret NASA missions is not just speculation or unsubstantiated rumors. Over the years, several leaked documents, reports from former employees, and unexplained anomalies in official records point to a worrying pattern. There are missions that took place, but were never released to the public. Some of them were mentioned briefly before being abruptly forgotten, while others were erased from history. What did they have in common? All were linked to discoveries that could challenge everything we know about space. Let's start with one of the most intriguing stories of all, the supposed Apollo 20 mission. Officially, NASA ended the Apollo program on the Apollo 17 mission, claiming budget cuts and lack of government interest. But according to some reports, this may have just been a smokescreen. In 2007, a man named William Rutledge claimed to be a former NASA astronaut and revealed that he participated in a secret mission called Apollo 20, released in 1976. Its goal: explore a gigantic structure that appeared to be an alien spacecraft abandoned on the far side of the Moon. Rutledge released videos purportedly showing the spacecraft and, more shockingly, a humanoid creature inside it, which would have been found in a state of hibernation. This story was immediately discredited by skeptics. But the big question remains: if Apollo 20 never existed, why is there so much evidence and documents that suggest otherwise? And more, why has the far side of the Moon never been explored again? By NASA, Another disturbing case involves the Viking mission, sent to Mars in the 1970s. Unlike Apollo 20, this was a mission officially recognized by NASA. But the most intriguing details were erased from public records. The Viking mission had a very clear objective: test whether there were signs of life in Martian soil. The experiments carried out were surprising. Biological tests indicated that there was biological activity on Mars. But, unexpectedly, NASA decided to classify the results as inconclusive and quickly abandoned the experiment. The scientist responsible for the tests, Dr. Gilbert Levin, spent decades trying to warn the scientific community that we had detected signs of life on Mars and that NASA was hiding this information. The strangest thing is that after this mission, NASA avoided repeating similar tests on Mars for years, as if he was deliberately avoiding confirming what he already knew. And then we have the NERVA program, a NASA initiative in conjunction with the U.S. Department of Defense to develop nuclear engines for space exploration. This program began in the 1950s and officially ended in 1973. But was it really closed? Declassified. Documents indicate that, even after its official cancellation, secret tests continued to be carried out in isolated locations, such as the Nevada desert. The purpose of these missions was not only to develop a more powerful engine, but create spacecraft capable of interstellar travel. That's right. While the public was convinced that NASA was still taking baby steps towards space exploration, tests to send spacecraft beyond our solar system were already being planned in secrecy. If this research is still active, what has been discovered since then, and why is none of this discussed openly? And finally, one of the most intriguing cases of disappearance of space missions, probe Phobos 2, sent to explore one of Mars' moons. In 1988, the former Soviet Union launched this mission with the cooperation of NASA. Everything was going well until, just before its final approach to Phobos, the probe simply disappeared. Before losing contact, she sent a strange image, which showed an elongated cylindrical shadow approaching her. Experts have tried to explain this anomaly, but no conventional theory could justify what happened. The scariest thing is that Phobos 2 was not the only probe that mysteriously disappeared near Mars. Other missions, such as Mars Observer in 1993 and Beagle 2 in 2003, also disappeared without explanation. What is it on Mars, or around it, that could be interfering with these missions? The burning question is, what did these missions have in common that caused their information to be hidden, distorted, or simply disappear? If NASA really has nothing to hide, why do so many missions involve disappearances, altered records, and information that is never fully explained to the public? We are facing a global conspiracy to prevent humanity from knowing the truth about space. And if you still have doubts, just remember that several other missions were planned and mysteriously canceled without much explanation. Some of these projects involved to investigate anomalies on the Moon, explore specific points on Mars, and even search for unidentified objects detected by satellites. But whenever something gets out of hand, NASA's response is the same: technical failures, budget problems, inconclusive data. Now, stop and think. Does space exploration really happen in such an inefficient and flawed way? Or is there something much bigger going on behind the scenes, something that only a select group of people are privileged to know about? If there are missions that have already been erased from the records, how many others could be happening right now, away from the public eye? And more importantly, if these secret missions did indeed find something, what could be so impactful to justify such an extreme level of secrecy? The truth may be much closer than we imagine, but are we prepared for it? What do you think? Does NASA really hide secret missions and unbelievable discoveries from the public? Or is this all just coincidence? Comment below. Is NASA hiding something? Yes or no? Your comment is essential so that this video reaches more people and together we can unlock the secrets of space exploration. And don't leave now, because what comes next is even more revealing. We will analyze leaked documents, testimonies from former scientists, and evidence that there is something much more than what NASA tells us. Get ready, because what I'm going to show you could forever change the way you see space. If there is still any doubt about the fact that NASA may be hiding information from the public, just look at the evidence that has emerged over the years. Testimonies from former employees, astronauts who tried to talk about what they really saw in space and were silenced. Images edited before being released to the public, leaked documents that point to highly secret projects, and even official reports from the U.S. government, such as those released by the Pentagon and the CIA, which confirm that there is much more happening in space than they tell us. And if this was all just a conspiracy theory, why does NASA insist on dodging certain questions? Why are astronauts who retire and try to talk about unexplained events discredited and, in some cases, persecuted? One of the most well-known and disturbing cases involves the former astronaut Buzz Aldrin, the second man to set foot on the moon during the Apollo 11 mission. In several interviews, Aldrin mentioned having seen something very strange. While in space, he stated that there was a luminous object accompanying the spacecraft, but which NASA quickly dismissed as a reflection or simple space debris. However, Aldrin never seemed convinced of this explanation. Over the years, he was pressured to minimize the case, but there are records that, in more informal conversations, he admitted that he believed that it was not something common and could have been a ship of unknown origin. If this were just a mistake, why is this type of reporting always accompanied by censorship or attempts to discredit the speaker? Another astronaut who brought alarming information was Gordon Cooper, one of the pioneers of the North American space program. He has publicly stated that while on mission, he saw metallic objects performing maneuvers impossible for any known human technology. Cooper also reported that, during his career, he learned of several reports from pilots and astronauts who witnessed unexplained phenomena but were instructed never to speak about it publicly. Most shockingly, he stated that there was a direct order within NASA that these events would never be discussed and that anyone who pursued the issue would face severe consequences. And this brings us to an even more critical point. If the astronauts themselves, who are responsible for being in space, witness inexplicable phenomena and are prohibited from speaking, what else could be being kept secret? Some leaked documents, both from NASA and the U.S. government, point to the existence of projects that investigate spatial anomalies and try to determine the origin of these objects. One of these documents, declassified by the CIA, reveals that, over the decades, numerous incidents involving unidentified flying objects near military bases, space stations, and even orbiting satellites. If none of this were real, why did the CIA and Pentagon keep these types of reports secret for so many years? And more. Why, after so many years of denying any involvement with this type of matter, did the Pentagon itself recently decide to admit that it investigates unidentified aerial phenomena? NASA, however, never made a clear statement on this topic. Their answers are always vague, evasive, and standardized whenever they are asked about anomalies captured by telescopes or strange objects in live broadcasts from the International Space Station. The justification is the same: technical failure, reflection of sunlight, atmospheric effects. But how plausible are these answers? And the strangest thing is, often, as soon as something unusual appears on a live stream from the ISS, the video cuts out immediately. This has already happened countless times, and NASA has never offered a convincing explanation for this recurrence. If nothing strange was happening, why the need to interrupt transmissions at the exact moment an anomaly appears? But perhaps one of the most revealing cases is the images of Mars released by NASA. If you analyze the photos sent back by rovers that are exploring the Martian soil, you will see that many of them show strange formations that don't look natural. Some of them resemble structures, others look like fossilized bones, and there are even image records that show metallic objects partially buried in the planet's red sand. Instead of investigating them, NASA is quick to deny any possibility that there is anything unusual, always offering alternative explanations. However, experts who analyze these images claim that some of these formations have geometric characteristics that are too precise to be just natural formations. So the question remains, is NASA really showing us all what do you know about Mars? Or are findings being edited before they reach the public? Furthermore, we have files that indicate the possible existence of missions that were never revealed. Several insiders, including former NASA employees and high-ranking military personnel, claim that there is a sector within the space agency dedicated exclusively to dealing with discoveries considered too sensitive to share. This would include, according to these sources, concrete evidence of extraterrestrial life, records of contact with non-human technologies, and even experiments carried out in secret bases off the planet. And if this all seems too absurd, just remember that the governments of several countries have already admitted that there are aerial phenomena that completely defy the laws of physics as we know it. If this is happening on Earth, what can we? Imagine that is being discovered in space and never coming to our attention. Now think, why did some of the most renowned scientists who ever worked for NASA leave there and start looking for answers on their own? Did they realize there was something being hidden? Could it be that over decades, the world's most powerful space agency accumulated information that simply cannot be revealed? And if NASA's goal really is to explore space and expand human knowledge, why are their documents censored, records that disappear, and images edited before they are released? To the public, this all leads us to an inevitable question. Does NASA really tell us everything it knows, or just whatever we want to know? If so much evidence points to a standard of absolute secrecy, what exactly is being kept from humanity's knowledge? We are talking about discoveries so impactful that they could challenge everything we believe about our existence. Now, I want to know your opinion. Do you think NASA really hides information from the public? Or do you believe that all this evidence could just be misunderstandings? Comment here below. NASA hides secrets if you believe there is something being hidden, or everything is a coincidence if you think there is nothing more than what we already know. Your comment is extremely important so that more people can discover this information and understand what is really happening behind the closed doors of space exploration. And hold on tight, because what comes next will completely change the way you see space. Let's dive into the secret files. Leaked documents and reports that could prove there's a lot more going on outside than we ever imagined. Are you prepared? Because what I'm about to reveal could be the key to understanding one of humanity's greatest mysteries. If all this evidence already makes it clear that NASA and the government are hiding information from the public, the big question we need to ask ourselves is, what exactly are they trying to keep secret? What could be so impactful that it would justify decades of censorship, missions erased from records, leaked documents that are quickly discredited, and astronauts silenced? Was the space race always just a contest for technology and political dominance? Or was there something much bigger going on behind the scenes? Many clues indicate that the Moon and Mars may have been targets of highly confidential discoveries. And we're not just talking about scientific exploration. From the first lunar landings to the most recent missions sent to Mars, there's a strange pattern. When something very different than expected is detected, there is a sudden change of plans. Why have we never returned to the Moon with manned missions since the 1970s? What was found there that caused governments to simply abandon any attempts at further exploration? And then the question arises that few dare to ask. What if the Moon had been inhabited before? Counts from former NASA Employees and high-ranking military personnel suggest that during the Apollo missions, astronauts witnessed something out of the ordinary. One of the most persistent rumors involves the mission Apollo 11, which would have recorded strange structures on the lunar surface. Supposedly, these images were never released and were replaced with carefully selected records for the public. But why hide it? What could be on the moon that NASA and governments have decided wasn't humanity ready to know? Now, if we look at Mars, the situation becomes even more intriguing. Since the first detailed images of the red planet began to be released, numerous anomalies have been detected. Structures that look like pyramids, objects that resemble sculptures or partially buried monuments, shadows and formations that defy conventional geological explanations. But every time someone raises a question about this, the official answer is always the same pareidolia, that is, we are just seeing random patterns where none exist. But could all these images just be coincidences? And there is an even more curious detail. The locations chosen for probe and rover landings always seem to avoid areas where these anomalies are more frequent. Many independent researchers point out that NASA carefully selects the locations where its missions land to avoid drawing attention to certain regions. If Mars is just a desert planet, why so much effort to check which images reach the public? Could there be something buried there that could reveal secrets about the planet's past, or even Earth? And then we come to one of the most controversial points: NASA's involvement with secret U.S. government projects. If we analyze the files leaked over the years, we will find documents indicating the space agency's participation in projects that go far beyond the simple exploration of space. From experiments with advanced technologies to NASA's possible participation in operations related to unidentified flying objects. The evidence is disturbing. One of these projects would be the famous Solar Warden, a supposed secret space fleet created to monitor and protect Earth against external threats. This theory, despite sounding like something out of a science fiction movie, gained strength after hackers broke into government servers and found records of classified operations that were not part of any officially known space program. Furthermore, declassified CIA and Pentagon reports revealed that for decades, investigations were conducted into unexplained aerial phenomena that could be related to non-human intelligence. But the most alarming connection came when documents indicated that NASA could also be involved in these studies, especially when it came to analyzing anomalies captured in deep space. Could this explain why so many missions were abruptly terminated? Images censored, and astronauts banned from talking about certain events. And to make everything even more suspicious, there is the involvement of large private corporations in space exploration. Companies like SpaceX, Blue Origin, and other giants in the aerospace sector have been taking on an increasing role in space missions. But is this sudden advance of the private sector due solely to commercial interest? Or are we witnessing a changed strategy to keep certain discoveries even more protected from the public? When only governments controlled space operations, it was possible to hide information under the pretext of national security. Now, with private companies leading missions to the Moon and Mars, what happens if one of them discovers something that shouldn't be revealed? Will there be even stricter control over what can and cannot be disclosed? If we analyze the history of large space agencies, we will see that they have always operated at a very high level of secrecy. But in recent years, we are starting to see a change in speech. First, they completely denied the possibility of life outside Earth. Then, they began to admit that there are unexplained anomalies. Now, official documents indicate that the U.S. government considers there are phenomena that completely challenge technology and science as we know it. And that brings us to the big question. If they are already publicly admitting that there are unsolved mysteries, what else is still being kept secret? Maybe the real space race was never just about exploring space, but rather about control. What has already been found? What if the world's governments already know the answers to questions we are still trying to ask? What if space exploration as we know it is just a fraction of something much bigger, something that has been planned in secret for decades? Now, I want to know your opinion. Do you think NASA is hiding discoveries that could change human history? Or do you believe that this information is just speculation? Comment here below. The truth is out there. If you think there is much more than we are told, or nothing but normal, it is believed that everything has a logical explanation. Your comment is essential to increase the visibility of this content and make more people question what is really happening behind the scenes of space exploration. If we've come this far, it's because the evidence is too clear to ignore. We're not just talking about coincidences or unfounded theories. The pattern of concealment, the censored documents, the silenced astronauts, the missions that simply disappear from official history, and discoveries that never reach the public indicate something much bigger. What does NASA really know and doesn't want us to know? If there is information that remains in the shadows for decades, it is because the impact of these revelations may be unimaginable. Are we ready for the truth, or does secrecy serve to maintain a structure of control over what humanity can and cannot know? And now that we've reached the end of this video, I want to hear your opinion. Do you believe that NASA really hides information that could change our view of the universe? Are their discoveries so shocking that they justify this level of secrecy? Or do you think this could all just be a series of misconceptions and exaggerations? Comment here below. Is NASA hiding something? Yes or no? I want to see how many people truly believe that secrets are being kept out of the public eye. Your comment is essential for this content to reach more people and for us to continue this investigation together. And don't think the story ends here. If you found this shocking, wait until you see what NASA has found on the moon. There is evidence that may indicate that our natural satellite is not exactly what we have been told. Some leaked images show mysterious structures, anomalies that defy conventional explanations, and even signs that the moon may have been inhabited in the past. If you want to discover what NASA never revealed about the moon, click here and watch the next video. What comes next may be even more disturbing than anything you've seen so far. And if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, sign up right now and activate the bell so you don't miss any updates. Here, we're always bringing you the deepest investigations, the most intriguing mysteries, and the revelations they try to hide from you. The more people involved in this search for truth, the harder it will be for them to continue keeping us in the dark. So leave your like, comment your opinion, and share this video with someone who needs to know this. The truth may be much closer than we imagine, and together we can discover what is really going on behind the curtains of space exploration. And now that you know that NASA may be hiding information about its most secret missions, imagine what could be happening with the images that reach us. Are the photos of Mars that we know really authentic? Or is there something behind the edits, filters, and crops that we never noticed? There are details that escape the common eye, but when we analyze closely, certain anomalies begin to appear. What doesn't NASA want you to see? What could be hidden in the seemingly arid landscapes of the red planet? In the next video, we will reveal secrets hidden in images of Mars. Compare official records, analyze leaks, and explore evidence that defies conventional explanations. If there is something that is being manipulated, the time has come to see beyond what they show us. I'll wait for you.